Welcome everyone to another episode of the world's greatest news and reviews.
Giving you opinions about nerd stuff is our superpower.
I'm Captain Mao.
And I'm your boy, T-Crawler.
And I'm Weapon 2, folks. It's good to be here talking about blood and Zeus.
We are talking about Blood and Zeus because today we're going to give you our official review on the Netflix original anime series. Wait for it. Blood and Zeus.
I think it's
Blood of Zeus.
The blood of Zeus.
The blood.
There's
and
blood.
Or hyphen Zeus.
There's blood belonging to Zeus in one form or another in this.
One thing for sure, it's on Netflix.
And we don't mean the character that fought Hulk Hogan in the 1980s movie.
No.
What movie was that?
Lister?
Yeah. Not that guy. We mean
Greek
Zeus.
god.
The Greek god. All right.
Greek god
Lister.
Zeus.
So, like we said, Netflix original anime series. I am not the biggest fan of anime. Not that I have anything against the genre specifically, but just I haven't really given it a chance, really any kind of it. And that specific type of animation, because I talk about DCEU animation all the time. Anime specifically, I'm not the biggest fan of, but Blood of Zeus, it's not as over the top, I feel, as a lot of anime is.
Right.
So it was easier for me to get into. That said, also a huge fan of Greek mythology, super nerdy when it comes to that kind of stuff, so this is up my alley. Weapon 2, plot synopsis. What is this about?
Well, this is about a young lad named Heron, which...
It's too close to Hera. It was too close to Hera
Isn't that
for
what
me.
street junkies call heroin?
Heron. That's what that is, yeah.
Heron. So anyways, so he... I don't know. Here's the deal. Somebody finds out that they're related to Zeus.
Ooh.
And that they have varying degrees of Zeus superpowers, and Hera is up to no good.
Hera, not to be confused with Heron. They really should have picked a different name.
There's some stuff going on. There's fighting. There's monsters. There's giants. There's all kinds of things going on. I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but it's an old-fashioned story about Greek mythology, not one of the ones we're used to. It's a new story that they've come up with, and so we get to find out all the stuff that's going on. Fun to watch. It's a very interesting story about Zeus and a demigod named Heron, and some other characters that we're going to get into here. What's the bad guy's name?
Something with an
Seraphim.
S. Seraphim. There you go.
Seraphim. Yeah. So,
Beat me by this much.
Yeah. And it's good. It's a
good.
good show.
It's
We're
really
going to talk
good.
about more about it. I don't know what we're going to talk about before spoilers.
The problem is you can't really give a whole lot. You can't talk a whole lot about it without spoilers. So what I'm going to say, spoiler free, is the thing they do that's really, really clever is lots of you are probably familiar with the classical Greek myths. Even if you're not like a real student of it, you've heard of Hercules, right? You've heard of Perseus. You've heard of Achilles. You've heard of lots of the famous demigods, and you're probably vaguely familiar with their stories. What this does when it opens is something that I thought was simple but really brilliant in that it kind of does text, and it's kind of explaining how there's been many, many, many stories about the Greek gods and all the things that they would do, but so many of them were never written down and just passed along by, the art of storytelling, and so many of those got lost forever. This is one of those tales. And I'm like, immediately, that's brilliant because it gives you a license to do whatever you want.
I love lost
tales. You can
tales.
make up whatever story you want with whatever character you want while still incorporating the classic pantheon of Greek gods that we know about.
I'm glad they rediscovered it.
Well, it's cool, though, because it's like it gives you familiarity and something new and different. Right. And so every single Greek god was represented beautifully in this. Like, everybody looks exactly the way they're supposed to.
The way they did in real life, yes.
Yes, exactly. Right. Everybody fights the way you would think they would. They move the way you would think they would. Everything about it really, really worked. And it never spoon feeds you really anything. It'll have scenes where there's just a few gods in the background, and it's not like this is that person. This is no. You just got to know it or you don't. I really like that. The protagonist was really, really interesting, Heron. But what's Seraphim?
Seraphim.
Seraphim.
Yeah.
I would argue is more interesting, has the more empathetic backstory, and when you find out his origin and all that, you really get the conflict. Character interactions are cool. Fights really, 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 really good. If you're not super big into anime, this might be a good first one for you, as it was for me, because it doesn't lean in any kind of anime tropes. It's full Greek mythology, just an anime style.
It's a gateway show in anime.
It really is. I really dug it. T. Crawler, what'd you think?
So with the whole Greek mythology thing, I'm not that big of a fan of Greek mythology. I've watched Clash of the Titans, things like that. You know, some of the popular movies and stuff. They were entertaining. But as far, and I know the main gods, you know, and stuff like that, and the main characters in most of the stories. But as far as like when I saw this on Netflix, I didn't just like Blood of Zeus. I don't think I want to get into that. Whatever. You mentioned it a while back, a couple episodes back, how you watched it and you're like, you just mentioned you're not a fan of anime, but you watched this and you really, you know, it pulled you in and everything you just mentioned. So I'm like, okay. So, and when we decided that we wanted to review this, it got me, okay, watch it. And I'm actually happy I did, because I really enjoyed it. And I just started watching some anime, some other stuff. So, like you said, this isn't really like all the tropes of the original anime.
Yeah, no.
You can definitely tell it is anime, but it's the fighting, the music, everything was awesome. It kept me intrigued, and the story was great. And it I really, really enjoyed this series. And I think it really helped the fact that they were only 30-minute episodes.
Yep.
And it was only 8 in this first season.
It's pretty short.
So I don't know.
But the story, it moved.
It moves.
Like,
it
you
does.
wanted to watch the next one,
So
but right away.
I'm really glad that we decided to review this, and that I went ahead and watched it so I could be part of the review. And yeah, really enjoyable. Seriously, like I was really surprised of how much I enjoyed it.
Nice. So yeah, as we talked about, pretty much everything across the board, I give a thumbs up to. One little thing that I do want to mention that's not spoilery, but is little attention to detail that the show didn't have to do. As you guys may or may not know, I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to swords and ancient weapons and stuff like that. Nailed it in this show. All these swords, the Xiphoses, and the other leaf-shaped blades were exactly like the right size and shape. There weren't any things that were like out of historical time frame. Like if you watch the trailer for the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like the big knight guy is rocking a two-handed longsword, which is about 500 years out of place. So like that makes no sense. So to nerds like me, that kind of stuff matters. All the weapons were perfect. They had a kopis. They had a freaking kopesh in the show at one point, which you never see. And all of it looked really, really good and historically accurate. So to nerds like me, that mattered, to the point where me and H. Dresden were even talking about how good the weapons looked, which that's a little detail that like they didn't need to do, that if they just you did whatever, nobody would have cared.
In an animated movie, like show,
that would not have affected the story at all if they were not correct. But they were, and that's attention to detail it didn't need. Well,
it sounds like it got the Captain Mal seal of approval for historical legitimacy.
It did.
So what we got here?
Okay. The 2 thumbs up.
Congrats.
2 thumbs way up.
Congrats, Blood of Zeus. You did it.
You did it.
You did it. You got that.
Blood of Zeus. Blood of Zeus.
That is an important certification to get, I'll tell you.
It matters.
Yeah.
It does matter. That said, we should probably get into spoilers now, because I can't think of anything else to say that wouldn't spoil anything, but I will give the show a seal of approval. I give it a definite recommendation. If you're looking for some anime that's just quick and dirty fun, lots of action with characters you're probably at least somewhat familiar with, given the gods and all that, totally watch it. Weapon 2?
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's got a lot of stuff going on. It's a good story. You wonder what's going on, what's going to happen next. It's nice. Watch it.
T-Crawler?
I also agree. Like I said, if you're not even really into anime, go ahead and check this out. I think you really enjoy it. It might change your mind about a lot of the other stuff that's out there.
This show made me start watching Castlevania, and I can never thank it enough for that. This was my gateway drug. So.
You know what else I like about this? It's one of my favorite things about stories is the bad guy is a bad guy, but you can understand where he's coming from.
So let's just General Zod that segue right into the spoiler alerts. Talk about the bad guys.
Yeah.
Talk about Seraphim. So give us some.
So, I mean, here's the deal. I'm gonna at the beginning of this saying, we start in like some palace here, and there's some birthing of some babies going on, and there's a king, and sees a baby and he's happy, but there's another one coming, and he's not happy with that one. He thinks there's been some shenanigans going on, and so
to his credit, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Totally.
He's not wrong. You're gonna find out what kind of shenanigans as we get to him. But so he's gonna like kill this one baby, and the I think a servant girl or somebody runs off with that.
yeah.
Runs off with that one.
So the king was a dick,
Yes.
and his wife was also sleeping with Zeus. She didn't know it was
Yes.
Zeus at first. So both the king, who's super cruel to her, and Zeus knock her up. So one baby's Zeus's and one baby's
Yes.
the king's, and they look different because they have
different
to.
colors of eyes,
Zeus
brown
made
eyes
himself
and blue eyes.
Yeah, because
Zeus
Zeus.
doesn't look like the king.
Well, don't
they
say that.
really
That
hit-
sounds really shady.
I mean, it
I mean,
was.
he did.
They really hit on that hard. That one's got blue eyes and one's
Yeah,
got brown
well,
eyes.
'cause there
That's
has
a
to
big
be a
determining
tangible
factor.
thing to
Yes,
just, like,
Zeus
I
is
knew
the
this
blue
all the
eyes.
time.
Yeah.
So he wants to kill. So Zeus shows up to save his kid,
Right.
but then make sure the servant girl runs away with the other guys, the king's kid, because the king dies in this conference. Spoilers.
No,
I hope
no,
we
no,
said
no,
that.
We already said spoilers.
Yeah.
No, what happened
What happened was.
that what happened was that the servant girl ran off with Heron.
Oh, that's right. The baby
and
was still there.
so the legitimate king's baby stayed there. Somehow the
They
king
chucked
dies.
him off a freaking cliff.
Well, no, hold on, bro. Listen to me. The king
Sparta.
dies, and then the brother of the
Yeah.
king, the uncle, decides that he's going to go get rid of this kid so that him and his 50 sons
yeah.
can be in power.
Which, by the way,
50 kids.
here's how ridiculous my brain is. I'm watching a show about Greek gods and demons and giants and all that, but the little baby surviving the fall from the cliff, bullshit. That wouldn't happen. That's a dead baby. That baby not surviving is total bullshit.
This is not past the test.
Look at
of
that
reality.
Cyclops. So that
This is
Cyclops
not
is
past
right
the
on.
reality
That's exactly
test.
what a
Yeah.
Cyclops would look like.
And
Minotaur looks real.
The Minotaur was legit.
so you got these babies that were separated at birth
Babies.
and raised differently. The one was raised by his mother, and they're poor, and they kind of had Zeus visiting as an old man, which
Which is a
the
common
boy
trope.
didn't
He does
know.
this in lots of stories and movies
He's like,
and stuff.
yeah, and so then you get another. The other kid who got thrown into the river gets raised in the wild like Tarzan by bears. And there's some more stuff we find out about that later on, but so that's the difference in the way they're raised. And so, should I keep talking about this, or you want to chime in? Chime in anytime you want. So as they grow up, Heron can't figure out why everybody's down on him, and that's because I think Hera's been making things bad around there.
Okay, so here's
Well,
the thing, guys.
what?
Let's say so. If you don't know much about the Greek myths, Zeus is notorious for cheating on Hera.
Yes, he's a philanderer.
Constantly.
Philanderer,
And
is that the right
he
word?
knocks up human women all the time, and Hera's super. What?
Philanderer? I don't know.
Slander.
Hera's
Yeah.
super jealous, as she probably should be. And
Well,
she's
yeah,
not
she's
wrong.
always
She's
mad
not wrong.
and well deserving.
Yeah, and
'cause,
so
you know,
scorned, even
and
a
so
god.
Zeus hides
Goddess.
Heron and the human mother in this town, and brings cloud cover over it, so that way Hera can't see it. But then that makes the villagers think that they're cursed
yeah.
because they showed up at the same time. A lot. Anyway,
Nothing's grown.
moral of the story is Saffron ingests giant meat because they show the war that happened between the gods and the giants,
What'd you
which
say his
was
name? Saffron.
Saffron. This is
Seraphim?
Captain Reynolds.
Seraphim? Yeah.
Saffron.
Yeah.
Damn you, Saffron. That's not even her real name. What is his name? Seraphim?
Seraphim.
He was the
Seraphim.
angel in Dogma. Okay.
Because that's a biblical
Yeah.
term for a type of angel.
I got it, bro. Just
Okay.
Christina Hendricks was on my brain, apparently.
Real thing.
Okay.
Rice.
So they do show the battle kind of between the giants and the gods, which was amazing. So anyway,
big battle.
He
Giants
ingests
and
the
gods.
meat, becomes a demon, has a bunch of score demons.
But here, wait, you're missing some of the big plot points. The gods convinced two of the giants to turn on the rest of the giants,
They
and
did.
that's why they're able to defeat them.
Right.
So you got the giant dying, which weird because the giant that's dead is always telling people to eat it.
Yeah.
He's going, eat me,
Yeah.
eat me.
Telepathy wise.
So people are always eating.
So Seraphim has a bunch of demons, and Hera ends up using him to try to kill Zeus's adulteress. That's the word? That's the word. Yes.
Yes.
And anyway, so what ends up happening is Zeus then gets Hera and brings him to Mount Olympus to train him to fight. Hera takes the gods that back her, and there's this big civil war that happens among the gods. They resurrect the giants, and there's this amazing throwdown in the finale between the resurrected giants and the gods of Mount Olympus. The show itself has again, Seraphim is the most intriguing character on the show, and he's the bad guy, and so you really empathize with him. Heron is cool enough, but his supporting characters are more interesting, and they're really funny.
Yeah.
Again, all the gods are great. The fight scenes are amazing.
Right.
Like, really insanely good fight scenes. And every god has, like, their particular talent, their particular skill that they're really good at. So, really good. I can't say enough good things about this. And it's probably, I would call it, like, anime light. You know what I mean? But, again, it's a good entry into anime. I thought it was freaking-tastic. Anything else you guys want to throw out real quick before we wrap up?
No, it's good. Watch it. It's fun. It's fun.
I find it funny. You guys mentioned this. I just find it funny how it's always like the god is always interested in the regular human woman,
right.
and so, cheating on his goddess wife and freaking.
I mean, it's mostly just Zeus. Like, the other ones don't do that much.
It's Zeus. I know.
It's a delicate balance. I mean, what are the gods are not interested in humans at all? And they just ignore us all the time. Next thing you know, they're too interested. You're just a little too interested. I mean, it's a delicate balance.
Well, then I like how he could mess around and like knock up a human woman, but then he can't intervene in that kid's life at all. He has to always pose to be like some old guy.
There's rules.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I probably shouldn't have broke that rule, but there's other rules.
Yeah.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
I can't be
It's
influenced.
literally like I could break
I can't
this
do
rule.
anything to make your life better.
Yeah, I could break this rule.
I can whisper things.
What do you want? Child
But I
support?
knocked your mom up.
There's
Yeah.
all these rules.
Well, yes.
It's really
I'm
godly,
sorry.
and
I'm
it's
sorry. I made a
it's-
mistake,
It's some Mount
but we don't
Olympus
need to drag
stuff.
this
I don't
out.
want to break down the
Yeah.
bureaucracy
I
in
would,
it. There's
but,
lots
you know.
of a lot of red tape, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Also, I'm out. But okay, can't recommend this show enough. Definitely check it out.
Yes.
Really cool, right? Close
Yeah,
thoughts?
Blood of Zeus, man. Let's watch it.
Girl,
Then watch it.
watch it. It's the moral of the story. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the World's Greatest News and Reviews. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.
Peace.